let's get Bonnie in here because I've already kept her waiting. And Bonnie is a special education attorney from the Tollner Law Offices, and I don't see her, but she should be joining us momentarily. And she's there, but I can't see her. Am I on the wrong view?
I don't know. I see you.
Is your camera going?
I'll start my video.
There you are, and looking all fresh and springy.
Thank you. How's it going?
So happy to have you here this morning. Why don't we start by having you tell us a little bit about Tollner Law Offices and give the disclaimer for us.
All right, thanks, Shannon.
If you would.
Good morning, everyone. I hope everybody's feeling good and healthy this morning. Tollner Law Offices is an 8-attorney special education law firm with offices in San Jose, Los Angeles, and Irvine. You can find us on the web by Googling Tollner Law Offices. And if you live in Northern or Southern California, we're happy to talk to you personally and directly about your specific case. The reason for that is that the advice we give on this show is really general information intended to make you more comfortable when you advocate for your child, but it's not a substitute for a conversation with a real attorney about a specific problem. If you are not in California and you need to talk to a special education attorney, I would direct you to the COPA website, copaa.net. That covers the 50 states, and it's a lot of people who are committed to doing this work. So you have to do your individual interviewing, of course, and find somebody that resonates with you. But in general, most of the people that do this work are doing it because they believe in it. So anyway.
Wonderful. Thank you so much for that, Bonnie. We have a couple of questions. Do you have anything that you want to talk about before we launch into the questions?
Not today, no.
Okay. So question number one, I'm sorry.
Actually, yes, I lied.
Okay.
Sorry. So we've been, circulating to you folks and to other folks frequently asked questions about school closure. We're going to be doing some more of that. The situation is changing daily, and so stuff that we put out 2 weeks ago, like now we know more about which way things are going to trend. So I'm hoping we're going to be able to put together an opportunity for people to come in and have a longer discussion for the benefit of the entire audience about their specific cases. We did that last week in another venue, and people had very good questions, and sometimes the questions were complex because of the fluidity and novelty of the situation. So just know if you're having a lot of trouble with this, so are a lot of other people. And I'm also getting reports from parents, not surprisingly, that their children are becoming depressed from being at home. So we have to be mindful of the fact that there are certain people within our population who are more sensitive and susceptible to changes in conditions. And for those of you that are doing well at home, or you're learning a lot, or you're figuring out a lot about your relationship with your child, I'm hearing some people saying, God, I don't even know if we want to go back to school because we're getting so much more done. For the other 50% of you, or whatever the percentage is that you're struggling, please understand that this is not specific to you or your fault. And we will work with you to try to come up with solutions for your situation, but it is not novel at all that people are having trouble with this. I think I told you, Shannon, but maybe I didn't. A few years ago, I had to do a continuing ed program, and I ordered an online, 25-hour package, and it was terrible. The screen was the size of a postage stamp, and I just couldn't pay attention. So I had to find another way to do it. So I think about that when I think about distance learning for people,
Yeah.
And that was a situation.
Yeah, well,
I paid for it. I had to do it. So I had a lot of skin in the game, and I still couldn't do it,
Yeah. It is a tale of many cities right now. Even though we have laws, this COVID emergency has really, as my friends across the pond say, thrown a spanner in the works. Because, I am seeing some, as you said, some families that are just capitalizing that on it. And you can see that in the questions that we've gotten this week. And other people who are just like, I need some help and my school is not helping me at all. So it is different in each district and different within each family and within each need. So I'm glad that you're on the job and that you've got answers for us. I'm going to launch right into this first question, which goes right along with what you were talking about. I'm seeing that my child is making more progress at home with me doing ABA. Can I make the case to keep him home even when school does start? He is 6, has autism and ADHD in the LAUSD school district.
Okay, well, that's a really good question, and it has a lot of arms. So the first thing I would say is, yes, you are finding that your child's learning potential is greater than would be indicated by review of his IEP. I would suggest that you do video documentation of some of that work and keep work samples. So when you want to make the case later that something different should be done, you have your documentation. Now, your question doesn't make clear to me whether or not you would consider going back into LAUSD with an NPA behaviorist if the district would offer that, or if no, you really want out of the and you want to go it alone. If it's the former, their LAUSD is one of the school districts that actually will place a non-public agency behaviorist in a classroom with an elementary school student, but it isn't usually granted at the IEP, although I have had it happen, but it is often or almost always granted in mediation. So if that's the route you want to go, you need to start putting together your case, your due process case for how to get this agreed to for next school year. If what you're saying to me is, I want to take my child out of the district and homeschool because I think this is better for him, that's a very simple process. And the state of California allows you to start a private school in your home by going to the California Department of Education website, which is not a special ed website, this is all children, fill out a 2-page private school affidavit, and voila, you are a homeschool. The state does not monitor curriculum or anything else that you do. And because you filed that affidavit, you are immune from being accused of truancy. So you've got 2 ways to go. Either can work. Good luck with that. And if you need to clarify your question more, go ahead and send us some more info about it.
Okay. Next question. We had the IEP the other day virtually, and they did not want to add any goals for next year. Just keep the same because of the uncertainty. I think this is wrong. What do I do? And this is a tale I've been hearing more and more about, Bonnie.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I don't know which district this person is in, but I would like to know. It's always nice to know what they're up to. The answer is that the IEP has to be appropriately ambitious, and the goals have to be both appropriate, measurable, and attainable. And when we see the same goals being carried over year after year, that's usually going to lead to a challenge that the IEP did not offer a FAPE, because it's supposed to be attempting to, project that there will be a year's progress in a year. And if you're keeping all the same goals, essentially what that means is either you're very behind and you didn't meet these goals, which is a problem, or they just assume you're not going to learn anything in the next year. But yes, what I would do is tell them you were talking to an attorney, you asked a question about whether this was a good sign or a bad sign, and she said, well, when I file for due process, one of the things I look at is whether the goals were appropriately ambitious, measurable, and attainable, but also we're going to look at the progress on the past goals. If there isn't progress, we're going to say, well, it was your job to make him progress. How come that didn't work? And if there is progress, we're going to say, then why aren't you proposing a more ambitious set of goals for the following 12 months? But I think what you're really seeing is you're seeing their own ambivalence or uncertainty about how to proceed given school closure. So they're trying to cover themselves at the expense of your child's growth.
Yeah, well, when you put it like that, Bonnie, but that is it, right?
Yep.
Okay, thank you for that. So next question, ESY, extended school year, doesn't look like it's going to happen. What is my best move to make sure I can be reimbursed for the program I am going to have to set up for her?
Well, I'm hearing that ESY may happen.
Really?
Yeah, but I don't think anybody really knows yet. So, I mean, I don't think they're going to do IEPs in the summer, but I could be wrong about that. I don't think they're going to do assessments, but I think there will be some kind of ESY. But your question was, if there isn't, what should I do? I guess the other question is, if there is, but it's really useless, what should you do?
Yeah.
We have been having clients ask us in different situations if they pay for private services during school closure, can they get reimbursed? And the answer is maybe, maybe. Senate Bill 117, which is what we're dealing with, said that the state government had to do its best. It also didn't suspend federal law. But it's clear that they aren't having to give the kind of education that they would have had to give had school been open. If you are going to do anything private, always give 10 business days notice in writing of what you're doing and the reasons why you have to do it, because the district's IEP doesn't offer you FAPE. With that said, ESY has always been a problem because we're only supposedly allowed to work with students that really regress during the summer and take 2 or 3 months to get back to that operational point that they were at when the prior school year ended. So it's people think ESY is to catch people up or get them grade to grade. It's really just to keep them even. So it may be hard to tie placement and payment of private services to ESY, or it may not. I would suspect that the way these cases are going to go is going to be case by case, hearing by hearing, depending on the degree of regression the child experienced during school closure. And I don't think there's going to be a one size fits all answer. It is potentially fair to make the comparison between school closure and ESY as a period of time, because the ESY is like 2 months. School closure would have been longer than that. So if your child does have an ESY eligibility, arguably you will be entitled to something during that period. It's the question is how much and what risk do you want to take? I think we don't know enough yet. If you're talking about $25,000 or $30,000 of tuition on the line, I don't know. But if you're going to have to do it anyway, you may as well try to follow the rules, give notice, and see if you can get your tuition reimbursed.
Here's my additional question on behalf of this parent, because I know I'm talking to parents and they're trying to take care of this moment in time, but everybody's starting to go, it's just like, I can't even fight with them to the end of the school year, but I got to be looking ahead to the summer. My kid is already maybe a little bit behind. And Bonnie, because you have multiple kids, that when you want to find a camp or a program during the summer, when in typical times, you got to book that in February. Mm-hmm. Like it's late now. So parents are sort of scrambling now to see who's got a program for the summer that thinks that they're going to be able to launch it. And I'm finding that those programs, that there's already a waiting list. So I'm wondering for this parent, if they wait to see what happens, there may be nothing left, but do you bite the bullet and put the deposit on something that is non-refundable? I would argue that thing has to be refundable because it may not even go.
Yeah, I would get them to agree. How did I do this? I rented an Airbnb that I canceled because I couldn't go to New York to see my grandson, double wah. So before I signed, sealed, and delivered, I said, if I have to care for anybody in my family that's sick, if I'm sick, if conditions make it unsafe for me to travel, I came up with like several ways that I thought I might be thwarted. Will you refund my rental deposit? And so that's it worked for me, although I had to cancel. But I would try something like that. I think it's going to be a little bit more of a buyer's market. I think people are not going to be able to do camp if they're out of work. I think there's going to be more room in certain respects in the system. Okay. I don't know, but there may be more options opening up. The larger question is, what can you afford to do in case you don't get it back? But, and what do you need to do so that your child doesn't lose ground? And I think that's really an individual decision. that we can counsel you about.
Okay, cool. Last question for today. I have an IEP coming up and I don't know what to ask for because I don't know what is possible. Should I ask to postpone to the fall? And I read this as being, I don't know what's possible because of the school closures.
If you are going into an IEP like this and you don't know what is possible, then you need to, it's not really that difficult, it seems to me. We're having good success in scheduling and probably rescheduling these meetings. If you don't know what to ask for, it has to start off with what are the needs and what would you like to ask for? And then we can figure out, how to present those requests. In general, this process, it's always a good idea to go in with what you want rather than go into, talk to them and say, gee, there's a lot of problems. I have no idea what would help this. Please tell me what you're going to do, what you think is necessary to resolve this problem. So yeah, put it off by a week and get some answers. I don't know if you're in California or not, but if you are, it would be easy to, what I would do, what I would ask you is I'd say, okay, what has your student been receiving? How has that been working? Where was he or she at when school closed? What has he or she been doing since school closed? And how he or she is doing? And I would make sure that whatever distance learning plan you develop, there's something clear in your IEP that says this is only a temporary IEP, and when school closure's over, we revert back to and stay put will be the prior IEP. And then I think you talk to them about what you think is needed in light of your child's functioning and the circumstances in the world. And then you construct some kind of a plan for going forward. But certainly don't go in there without giving them 24 hours written notice that you're going to record and, have a laundry list.
Okay. One extra question that's come in live. They want to know, can my ABA do ESY? So can my applied behavior analysis company do extended school year for those of you who don't want to be drowned in jargon today?
Paid for by insurance, yes. Are you talking about, will the school district pay for my ESY that's being funded by insurance? I think we need clarification on this.
Okay, and I would guess that it's just, can they do the curriculum? But of course, can it be funded? Who would fund that? An ABA company doing ESY? It would have to be the school district, right?
Well, no. What if you go to your insurance company and say, due to school closure, I need more ABA and I need ABA to be able to work in a different way than it does ordinarily when you're only letting us work on behavioral issues, not academic issues. So you have to pick up the slack because the district can't this summer. It could be that kind of angle.
Interesting. Could be interesting. Let us know if that works, because that could be very interesting.
And
all right.
Do we have time for just like one quick thing?
Yes, go for it. Yes.
Karen Fessel, Fessel, Autism Health Insurance Project. Google her. She has all kinds of good ideas about how to use insurance and how to get people covered for stuff when they're not covered. And she's very reasonable in terms of what she charges. If you have a need for insurance coverage for something and you're not getting it, talk to her. She started out getting kids coverage for ABA. Now she's helping parents additionally get reimbursement for residential treatment. She's a lovely person and a great resource. So if you have insurance questions, go to Karen.
I love it. I love it. Bonnie, thank you so much for being with us. We're going to work with you to see if we can create some kind of a town hall in the next week or two where people, I just think we need to do it later at night, because I think what's good is when you're able to take questions live and ask questions and have the parents respond.
We did it from 6 to 9, and then we had time at the end for a lot of questions.
There you go. And did that work? You got some good response.
Yep. Lots of good questions. There are some really killer moms out there, really killer moms who've educated themselves a lot about this process. I should say dads too, but there wasn't dad participation that I could see, but hopefully there were dads there. But yeah, I mean, you guys are learning this and you're crushing it. You just got to keep going.
Yeah. Well, we appreciate you, Bonnie. Tell us again about Tollner Law Offices.
Well, maybe for next week, I'll actually look up the website. But if you Google Tollner Law Offices, you can find us on the web. We've got a lot of information there for you. If you want to talk to an attorney, we've got a form you can fill in. If you need to reach me, I'm at 310-245-1968. Thank you, everybody. Great questions.
Thank you, Bonnie. Love to you. Bye-bye. Talk
See
to
you
you
soon.
soon.
Hey, thanks for watching Autism Live. To subscribe, click here. And if you'd like to check out some more of our videos, click here.